What's up everyone? Waht here with another heroic boss guide. Today we take a look at the heroic Auchindoun bosses. Subscribe for more guides and enjoy the video everyone. Alright, so starting with the first boss, we have Vigilant Cathar. Now this boss is trivial if handled correctly. First of his abilities, the Sanctified Strike, is that lightning bolt you see on the ground. It does holy damage to anything within that lightning bolt's round radius, so just move the boss away from it so that way your party doesn't stand it by accident. The next you'll notice these white, light, golden circles on the ground. They are called hallowed ground. It creates a circle of bad on the ground that does 18 to 19k damage if you stand in it when it erupts. Now in heroic mode, he makes those things erupt at random times, so as soon as you see it on the ground, your best bet's to move out of it. What you see going on right now is his ability called Consecrated Light. First, he throws a holy shield at a random ranged or healer class. After a few seconds of that holy shield being on the ground, he'll begin to cast, say, Consecrated Light. Consecrated Light is a pretty rough ability. It does tons and tons of light damage. However, if you're a paladin and you use Divine Protection and Guardian of the Ancient Kings at the same time, which you'll see me do here soon, you can sit in the light and it won't kill you. Keep in mind, I told my healer I was going to do this. My healer was very aware that during this Consecrated Light phase, I was not going to move. I was just going to stand in it and take it. So don't do these kinds of things unless your healer's aware that you're going to be doing them. Otherwise, as you can see, if everyone just follows the directions of this boss fight, it's quite simple to be handled and isn't a problem at all. Moving into the next boss, we have Soulbinder Nami. Now, she has a few abilities that, as well, if you follow the directions on these abilities, it's super easy. She's got Mind Spike, does 17 to 18k Shadow Frost damage. You can interrupt it if you like, just to make it easier on your healer, because, you know, Shadow Frost does cut through most tanks' abilities. If you can't interrupt it, the only thing I can really tell you is use a small mitigation move on it. You don't want to waste any big mitigation moves because she does summon ads. She summons one of 3 types of ads. Now, that purple circle you see on the ground, that is called Soul Vessel. Only that purple circle is safe. Everything else takes massive shadow damage. Save your healer some trouble and go stand in that circle. Once she gets done letting out her first Soul Vessel phase, she uses an ability called Torn Spirits. She summons up one of each type of ad. One is called a Spiteful Arbiter, the next is a Twisted Magus, and the third is a Malefic Defender. The Malefic Defender you can ignore. He doesn't do anything other than a 7k holy damage with a dot that makes you take 1% more damage. It's such a joke. Perhaps on challenge modes it's a bit harder to deal with, but for heroics you won't have to worry about it. The Twisted Magus, if you interrupt his Arcane Bolt and Arcane Bomb, he doesn't do anything at all. His physical damage is little to none. And his Arcane Bolt only does 17k and on a crit. So it's really, you don't have to worry too much about him. The Spiteful Arbiter is what you really have to worry about. He's got an ability that stuns one of the random party members and then does damage to all allies within 5 yards. And then he also charges at a target, making those little yellow circles pop out of him as he charges to him. If you don't stand in those circles, you don't get hit. Everybody's a happy camper. Moving on to the third boss, Azakel. He is an interesting boss, to say the least. I would say watch out for his Fell Lash. It does a significant amount of damage and a knockback, but that's not really why you have to watch out for it. The biggest thing about it is it increases damage taken by 20% for 6 seconds after he does it to you. So if there's a whole bunch of ads up doing physical damage to you, and he hits you with that, you can imagine what happens next. You're going to need to use some heavy mitigation. He's also got another ability called Curtain of Flame. It engulfs a player in fire, doing 10k fire damage every 4.5 seconds for 9 seconds. So it only ticks twice. However, whenever damage is dealt, it spreads to any player within 5 yards. So it can actually get bad if everyone's grouped up the whole time. Your best bet's to, if you get Curtain of Flame, just get away from the party for 9 seconds and then you can go back. He does an ability called Claws of Argus, which you saw earlier, where he flies up in the air and he summons up all the different types of ads. And then he malevolent crashes back down to the ground. That cross of green fire is just, you don't stand in it and you'll be fine. Besides that, those ads, your biggest goal is to pick up the Felguard first. The Blazing Tricksters are harmless. You can ignore those guys, just don't touch them and stay out of their way, and you won't get stunned by them. They don't do any other attacks, so you don't have to worry about them. They have no threat table, so you don't have to pick them up for threat. The Cackling Pyromaniacs, so the imp-looking guys that are giant, they have a green circle around them as they cast. Now they cast a blast of fire that does 35 to 39k fire damage to the target. At the very least, you want threat on these guys. As a paladin or a warrior or a death knight, as a death knight, just yank them to you, you'll be fine. As a warrior, charge them, interrupt their cast, and then heroic leap back to where the other Cackling Pyromaniac is. Besides that, you're going to tank the ads. The Felguard does the Fel Stomp, which is the same thing as a Fel Lash. She's going to do physical damage and it's a knockback. This one doesn't put a 20-second debuff on you. However, it does hit for 47 to 52k damage. That's that's noticeably more than what the boss does. But if the boss hits you with his first and you're taking increased physical damage, he's going to hit you so hard it might kill you. Doesn't matter how tanky you are. Well, unless of course you have raid gear, but that's not released yet, so we're not worrying about that right now. This is for wearing blues. But as long as you avoid all that, pick up the ads so the party doesn't get squished, and make sure that when Curtain of Flame is on you, you get away from everybody, you'll be fine. You don't have to worry about this boss. It's super duper easy. The next boss is what we really got to worry about. The final boss, Tarangore. This dude is nasty. He summons up an abyssal that will chase around a random ranged or a healer the entire fight. He is CCable, so you can, make it easy on them kiting and all that noise. He does a Shadow Bolt. You can interrupt it, no big deal. You really want to save your interrupt for Drain Life though. He gets 2% of his health back every time it ticks. It ticks every 3 seconds. So you can imagine that would really start to get his life back. You want to interrupt Drain Life as soon as you see it up. Now at 75%, he takes on the form of one of the 3 Warlock specs. In this one we got Destruction, which means he's going to cast Chaos Bolt, which does a ton of chaos damage. Immolate, which is a ton of fire damage. It's a dot. I think it ticks for 6 ticks, 3 for 18 seconds. Every 3 seconds for 18 seconds. Conflagrate does 13 to 14k fire damage and reduces your speed by 50%. That can be rough for the ranged. And then Incinerate is just a wave type of damage. It does 22 to 25k damage, so you want to avoid it. And his Rain of Fire, you really want to not stand in. It does massive damage when he's in his Destruction form. Now he also has a Demonology form, which he puts up a lot of curses and a lot of dots, it seems, as well as sending out waves of energy, which is what you gotta look out for there. With his Affliction form, the curses are pretty rough. He does Curse of Exhaustion, 70% movement speed taken out, Seed of Corruption, Agony, Unstable Affliction, all of these nasty Warlock abilities you really, really want to watch out for. In challenge modes, you guys do need to know, he takes on all 3 talents talent types. He is an Affliction, Destro, and Demonology Warlock. So you're really going to want to watch out for that. If you're not doing challenge modes right now, that doesn't concern you. But besides that, it's easy. Right? So I guess I will see you in the next guide. You guys have a great